Everyone, we're just going to give all the participants a minute to filter in and then we'll kick things off.
Excellent. I feel like I should have had a song prepared.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go through some quick housekeeping notes here today before we get started. So thank you everyone for joining our Invenias 2022 roadmap session. My name is Sarah and I'm a member of the marketing team here at Bullhorn. Just want to cover a quick few things before we begin. Today's session will be recorded and you will be receiving a copy of the recording within the next 24 hours in your inbox. All attendees will be muted during today's presentation, but we do strongly encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A section that's in the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll get to as many questions as possible before the end of the session. We should be wrapping up in about 45 minutes. I'd like to welcome one of today's presenters, Ashton, to kick us off. Take it away, Ashton.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to attendees from around the world. We have 280 registrants for today's session, which shows a level of appetite in the industry to know exactly what's happening with technology and know what's happening specifically with the Invenias product that you use day in, day out. We couldn't be more proud as to where we are as a business in terms of being able to deliver on customer requirements, because guess what? We're obsessive about our customer experience. So I'm joined today by Jonathan Novich, our SVP product, and John Hopkin, our product manager, to talk you through what we've delivered in the last few months and what we're planning to deliver in the coming months, because sneak peek, they're game changers. So anyway, very excited to engage. If you have any questions as a result of this session, remember you have your account managers to engage with. You're always welcome to engage with me directly as well through LinkedIn. There is the Q&A section down at the bottom. Feel free to chat. We'll be monitoring that along the session. So with all that said, thank you for coming out. And Jonathan Novich, over to you.
Thanks, Ashton. Today's going to be a great day. The slide in front of you we'll talk a little bit about vision, and then we'll talk about John Hopkin will take us through the releases you may have missed and actually what's coming next on our roadmap. Super exciting. I recently had dinner with Ashton Moran just a couple of days ago, and it had been about 2 years since we had started our journey together on Invenias. For me, that was new. And at the time, if we go back in the time machine, it was just the beginning of COVID. We struggled actually to articulate a bold vision. And I'm glad that this is now, I think, the third session perhaps that I'm reiterating what our product vision is. And that is to propel executive search professionals, to elevate the relationship between the search firm and the executive, and to help place leaders to change the world. For us at Invenias, we realized that our job is to be a catalyst to help support search firms that make the biggest differences in the world, really placing leaders, board members, advisors to the largest companies, to smaller companies with the most compelling missions, really all the way across the board. And it's been exciting to see our product get better and better, perform better and better, offer new features. John's going to talk you through some of the key themes of our roadmap and where we see things going, including Ashton's favorite game changer topic. So without further ado, let me hand it over to our very own John Hopkin.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan. And yes, before we dig into the roadmap, and we have a lot to talk about today, lots and lots of real exciting, innovative features to talk through. Before we get into that, I think it's important to add some context into the overarching product themes that really tie our roadmap back to the product vision that Jonathan just talked about. So we have 4 themes for 2022. Improved efficiency. So we have to provide a fast product and platform. In addition, we have to ensure that the right options are present in the product where users need to use them. Also, we understand we have to give users a reward for entering data into Invenias to unlock its maximum value. we'll be adding a huge amount of value this year, really cementing our position as the market leader by adding value through new integrations like automations and through our marketplace. And lastly, we're always responding to the ever-changing. This market doesn't seem to stand still. The ever-changing, ever-emerging needs of the exec search market. And everything in our roadmap ties back into these 4 themes. These are our real rocks. So on to what we have shipped recently. Every customer I've spoken with over the last few months has told me that this is pretty much the busiest they've ever been at any point. It's great to hear that it seems to be a really, really strong, high demand market at the moment. But given how extremely busy everyone is, there are likely some features that we have shipped recently which have maybe gone under the radar. So we're going to take a look at some highlights from the past few months, and then we'll move on to what's in progress and what's coming next. Many of the features that we have shipped, we announced initially at the Exec Search Summit that maybe some of the people on the call today attended last year. So it's really great to be able to say today, this is what we said was coming, and this is what we've actually delivered, which I think is really, really important. So what have we delivered? Kicking off our recap, you now have a great overview of key assignment activities in the desktop app with a new assignment record dashboard. This dashboard saves users having to click through to various tabs across the assignment when you're looking for an update on overall progress, key points at a glance without having to deep dive and click within these tabs. We have had some feedback on one of the widgets, which we'll be adjusting in the product in line with that feedback. So a big thank you for all those customers who've raised that feedback to us. And any feedback, as whenever we receive feedback from users, it really helps us to make the best version of the product that we can for you. So next on the integrations front, we launched our Office 365 Outlook add-in. You can view and update key information on people from your Invenias database whilst browsing emails using Outlook on any device. Outlook on the web, Outlook on the desktop, and Outlook on the mobile as well. And you can also save emails back into your database without having to go and use the desktop application. You link back your emails to your choice of records, again, including from the Outlook mobile app. And if this is news to anyone on the call, if you weren't aware of this feature, please take a look in our help center. There's an admin guide that walks through how to set this up. It's really, really straightforward if you're an Office 365 admin user. Really, really easy. And that's now live for customers to use. In addition to our 365 integration, we added a real key feature to our Essentials web app. You can now send emails using Office 365. And that's using templates created with a new template editor in our web application. And why is this useful? Well, we know that we have many users that regularly use just Essentials that don't use our desktop app. They're just working through a web application, and there's an increasing number of them. And now those users can maintain their candidate and client communications without having to switch back to another tab or not have the context of the Invenias data alongside. This is now live. And then also discussed at the Search Summit last year, we've made some real major enhancements to one of the most used features we have in our desktop application, and that's Save to Invenias, being able to save emails and appointments back to your database. And this package of improvements was really targeted on, specifically on workflow-based improvements. We wanted to reduce clicks, keep your users more focused on their inbox, prevent them from having to open records up to complete actions after they save the email. So you can update candidate progress status, progress notes. You can save and rename attachments, all whilst you save that email back into the database, cutting down on all of those activities afterwards. And this had a combined 200 plus votes from users who had logged into our ideas portal and said, I want to see this improvement in the product, and we've been able to act on that and deliver on those improvements. I'll talk a bit more about the ideas portal later too. More recently, we've just rolled out a number of performance improvements. We've targeted certain parts of the product. For instance, all grids in the web app are now 30% faster than they were. Every single grid in every single location. Record deletions are twice as quick as they were prior to this change. In the desktop app, the Invenias pane, the pane you see on the right when you click between emails, we've managed to speed up the time it takes to refresh when you click between a new email from around 1.5 seconds to around 200 milliseconds. And we can see on our platform that this happens up to hundreds of thousands of times a day. And we've knocked over a second off every time that happens. Some real tangible improvements here. And we're going to continue this performance focus throughout this year. More performance focus, especially on grids as well. That's a big area of focus. And I have a question that I'd love to get the feedback from those on the call about, as it relates to performance improvements. And we've been debating a performance improvement here, and I'd love to understand, to get your opinion on this particular question. So if I said to you, here is a grid performance improvement of 30 to 50%, speeding up the time all grids in Invenias take to refresh. When you open a tab, you open your people list, you change a view, you add a filter, you do anything in the grids to make them refresh. And I know everyone now is saying, yes, I want the improvement. But in this case, this does come with a change. And this is where we want your direct feedback on. So to support this performance improvement, we're proposing that we would make the count of results that you see under the grid an on-click, on-demand feature. So to view the count, you click, as opposed to it showing all the time. And that's what this poll question is all about. So if you feel like for this performance improvement, and I can see the questions popped up, by moving the grid count to an on-click feature, we can speed it up. If you feel this is a positive change, that you feel like your users would really benefit from this, please click the answer A, the first one, make this update, increase speed is important. If we feel like this isn't going to be a positive improvement, please vote for the second option. And if you're not sure, vote not sure. I'd be fascinated to see the results in a second.
As am I.
Yeah. E3, can't wait. Ashton and I have a side bet going for this one.
I think we really are at pains to make sure that when we're making changes around the user experience, that we really do have a consultation, or we, at the very least, we put an option in to enable the user to opt out of it. This is interesting. I can see what the results are on my screen. The attendees can't though, I think. So we've got about 56% A. I'm going to share these out. 11% B, and not sure is 33%. So we've got over half the attendees feel this would be a positive change, but I've also got a lot of people here that are not quite sure. So if we do move forwards with this, we've got to have some options around it. That's very clear. So awesome, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to just round off my recap by talking about a new feature that we have just released. And my animation will get round to the start in a second, and I'll be able to talk you through it. We've added a new tool to our Essentials web application that provides a really rapid way of cleaning up duplicate company records. That's company quick merge. Duplicates can enter the system in lots of different ways. We know our users want to clean them up. And a user, my animation is going to get back to the start in about one second. So in the Essentials web app, you can select up to 6 companies together, and you can choose to merge them together. You can select the record you want to keep, the one all the others are merged into. It's usually the one with the most data. And once the merge completes, we audit the merge with a journal note that's saved to the journal of the keep record that documents who kicked off the merge, which records were merged together, and should we need to overwrite any field, if every record had a telephone number, then we will list it in this journal item in case you ever need to refer back to it in the future. And this is now live. And funnily enough, just before this webinar, I had a great piece of feedback from Richard Watson, one of our account managers, who I'm sure many people on the call know, from a customer that's just discovered this feature and has already used it to clear up hundreds of duplicate company records. So this is now live for all users to use in our web application. I'm really particularly proud of this feature. So on top of all of those feature-sized improvements, we've also released many enhancements which have been driven by our users, probably from many users on the call, who have raised ideas for improvements and have voted on ideas for improvements in our ideas portal. And we've delivered, in the past 3 to 4 releases alone, improvements with a combined over 900 individual user votes on them. And without a doubt, all of these suggestions, these ideas, these improvements make the product better. And I must thank everyone who's used the portal, raised ideas, voted on ideas, which we've responded to directly with all of these items just in the last few releases alone. And so if this is news to anyone, please visit ideas.invenias.com to view ideas, raise your own, vote on ideas from other users. And you may see your idea incorporated into the product, as many people have. Onto the very last part of my update, and that's I wanted to provide an update on Marketplace. This was a big highlight from our executive search innovation session that we did last year. And for anyone who is unfamiliar with the Marketplace concept, it is there to provide you as Invenias customers with access to the very best, the kind of best of breed technology solutions that we have vetted, approved, which add huge functionality and huge value when you're using Invenias. So what's the progress? There's so much happening here. We have integrations live with Invenias customers. Customers are getting real value out of these solutions, and the marketplace is growing. I'm going to pick out a few of the partners on this slide. For instance, Kylo are live with their fantastic Awesome Docs product. It's a tool that creates formatted documents. There's lots of different use cases here, creating branded formatted CVs. They cover some reporting use cases as well. Lots of customers using that. Additionally, Sourcewell. Then there's an amazing quote in the top right of this slide. It's a Sourcewell provide a candidate sourcing application, and in this quote, Sourcewell was able to help this Invenias customer to deliver some CEO level searches, which they may not otherwise have been able to complete. And I think that's just incredible. It's a great example of the kind of value that our marketplace can provide to Invenias users. And just a couple more to focus on. Seek Out. They're also running a candidate sourcing and search product live with some Invenias customers. We've got a great quote on this slide as well that also illustrates the kind of value that Seek Out has provided for them. We've got other integrations in development. Daxtra looking to go to beta at some point soon with the Daxtra search product. Idaboo in development. We're talking to lots of other providers, so there will be more here as we grow into 2022. We should see some more brands, some more partners here, which are going to offer huge value to you. And if anyone is interested in any of these products, or if you're already using a third-party product that you'd like to see more closely integrated into Invenias, please contact your account manager, and that inquiry can be fed straight into our integrations team. Okay, so that's the end of our recap. hope there are maybe a few features here in that list that maybe had slipped under people's radar, that we've highlighted and announced on this session. So now we're gonna move on to talk about what's coming up next in the next kind of 1 to 6 month period or so. But I do have to point out, as an important note, that roadmaps can be subject to change. The vision for the product does not change, that Jonathan outlined earlier on. The timeline on some individual items may move, and that's to ensure that we are responsive to the needs in the market. If we feel a more pressing item arrives, then we will deliver on that, as we want to provide the most value we can to all of our customers. That's really important. So, focusing on the next 6 months, the big ticket item, automation. So we're bringing automation to Invenias as a new premium option, and we'll be the first and only provider in the exec search space to offer this technology. And I spoke about this in detail at the Search Summit, and development is well underway right now. I'm going to take a couple of minutes to recap on the value that the feature provides, and then give some more detail about timeframes when we expect you'll be able to use automations. So what is Invenias Automations? Well, automations ensure that your business processes and your engagement happen consistently at the right times through the search cycle. And this is all designed to help your team deliver more searches, to focus more on the human side of the search process without getting slowed down, bogged down in manual, repeatable actions, which is where the automations come in. So you'll be able to create automation workflows using a really friendly, mature, non-tech heavy interface to really streamline the processes which are unique to you and your business. And the product comes with some great out-of-the-box tools. There's an email marketing tool with a really simple editor. There's a text messaging tool. There's a survey tool. Whenever you've needed to reach out to a client or a candidate to get some information, fully customizable. It's absolutely fantastic. And to dig into a more specific example that maybe relates directly to the search world that we live in. Automation workflows are based on, if this happens, then do this. If this, then that. Workflows, triggers and actions. So in this scenario where a candidate is placed, and this is just one scenario, there must be hundreds, I'm sure. You could create an automation that covers the search closeout process and continues the communication as a candidate starts the new role. If you look at the list of processes that could be automated here to drive efficiencies, all of this could be happening automatically while your team moves on to the next search. That's the real key here. For example, sending surveys to clients and candidates, updating statuses, various fields, sending the candidate an email or a text automatically to tell them where they need to go with more information about the role they're about to walk into. All of that could be automated. And these steps take time, and users can miss them. So these processes aren't always enforced. And with automations, users just don't need to do these anymore. You can better allocate the resources you have and deliver more searches. This is about increasing the productivity and the output of your business without adding headcount, without adding more people. So as for timeframes, in development right now, as I mentioned before, and we're looking at beta in Q2 with customers live using automations in Q3. So it is coming. That's the time frame we're looking at here. I can't wait. It's a real game changer. So onto other roadmap short term. So in our April release in .4, we're adding a new feature. This is designed to cut down on the creation of duplicate records. And this is particularly relevant for the non-English speaking audience as well. When we deep dived into how these duplicate records were being created, we learned, and I'll admit we learned, that in certain languages, there are pairs of letters that can be equivalents of each other. The example I have on screen in German, you can spell an A with an amount, or you can spell it as AE. There are different ways of spelling exactly the same thing. And there are examples in Spanish, in Portuguese, and Cantonese, and in lots of other languages. But from a user perspective, depending on the way the users type in their search term, maybe when they're searching for a record or they're creating a new record, they may miss out on records that exist in the database because they're spelled using the alternative spelling. So with this feature, you can add pairs of these special characters. So every time a user creates a record or searches for a record, we always search using the swapped out letters, so they don't end up clicking to create a new record. So that's coming in .4. On the infrastructure side, very soon, we're adding in a new Azure data center in South Africa. And that takes our global footprint of data centers up to 9. So for pretty much every location around the world, we'll be able to give users low latency to a local Azure data center. So this particular change will make a big difference for the users we have in the Africa region. That's coming very soon. In the web app, following the email action that we've just added, we have the interview and meeting actions. So essential users will be able to log interviews, create new meetings, manage those key activities, all through the web application as part of our Office 365 integration. That's on the way. For the first time, you'll be able to easily view in a person's record all assignments where this particular person is a referral partner. And this is a really valuable data point that's been relatively hidden up to now. So if, in this case, if Alexander Lee has been a referral partner on a number of different assignments, you won't need to search for the assignment, find it, click to the tab, find Alex Lee's record to be able to record Alex Lee's referrals. You'll be able to just open his record and do it directly from there. And then on to another big one, D, E, and I. So we understand there is a real growing demand for search firms to present a more diverse candidate list and also to place more diverse candidates. Well, we're going to be building in a flexible, customizable feature set with different levels of data capture to meet those requirements. As we understand, not all of our customers will want to capture DE&I information on half a dozen in a dozen different areas, maybe just one or two, or maybe just one for many of our customers. And there are three kind of key pillars I'm going to talk through that we've focused this feature on. And the first is data entry. And speaking with Invenias customers, of those who are already capturing DE&I information, the vast majority are using our gender field, the existing gender field, to capture gender diversity. The feedback is that we need to make it easier to add content to that field. So that's exactly what we'll be doing. We'll make it part of the standard workflows by adding gender to our parser, which most people use when updating records. We'll add the ability to bulk update that field and add gender as a field when you're creating new people records. On to the second pillar. Now that data is in the system, we need to make it easier to view the data that's being captured. So we'll be adding gender to our profile pane, which you can use to share with clients if you want to. Gender will be added to our assignment dashboards for professional users, and also assignment dashboards for client users, for those who are using the client web app. So for professionals and client users, they'll be able to get an overview of how many of the percentage of candidates in the current assignment by their gender, if you wish to share that. And then lastly, the enhance piece. As I mentioned before, some customers will want to use more fields other than just gender to capture DE and I information. And we'll be adding this, along with the ability to indicate which of those values you regard as making the person diverse. And this part of the feature includes the self-classification piece. So that's how we, or you, would request a candidate self-classifies. They provide their own information as that relates to DE and I. And we want to tie this piece into our data privacy consent request. So as you ask for consent, they can also complete very quickly their gender, their anything else, all of those other fields to self-classify themselves. And lastly, this would also include an assignment-specific piece as well. As what is considered to make a person diverse can be specific to a given role, but also a given location. If you're hiring for a head of marketing in North America, as opposed to Europe or APAC region, what makes a person diverse is going to be absolutely dependent on the location of where that person's going to end up working, I think. So we're looking at some assignment level settings where people can configure that as well. And that's not likely to be required by everyone, but we feel it's really important, especially for our more of our global customers, that we have this functionality. So lots coming there around DE and I. And then in addition to those big feature size improvements, we're also targeting improvements driven from our ideas portal. I'm not going to deep dive on these today. These are typically kind of smaller features, smaller than a feature size improvement. And please look out for these in the release notes, which I post to our help center as we complete and ship these items. And I have a final poll for the session. I have one further question, which I would absolutely love to get the input of those on the call for. I would love to know, of the 4 improvements that I have listed on screen,
I think we'll just pick up for John. It seems like he's frozen. Of the 4 improvements on the screen, oh, there you are. You're back. We were just about to improvise for you. Yeah.
Thank you. My internet's managed to last so far. Fingers crossed. So, yeah. Of the 4 options we have, I'll quickly run through them. Option A, if we were to give you more editable fields when you're creating new records, when you click the new button, there are 5 or 6 fields we list at the moment. Adding more there. For example, our category fields. Option A.
Oh, okay. I think it froze again. Okay. So option A, more editable fields when creating new records. Option B, shortcut to create new records from the quick search, right? Do a lookup and then the option create a record through there. Collapsing the navigation and the headers to show more data on the screen.
Can you
which
hear me?
is quite obvious. Yeah, J-Hop, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for diving in, Ash.
No worries.
Being able to collapse the top section of a record, the tab navigation on a left, so you've got more room to play with. And lastly, being able to add to the spell checker, add your own choice of words. There may be some industry-specific common phrases that are not in our spell checker, being able to add in there. So please vote away. When you're ready, Sarah.
All right, all right.
Okay, clear winner. Option A has 46% of the votes. Okay, I'll build it into the roadmap. Thank you very much for your direct feedback on these 4 items. And that kind of brings us to the end of this roadmap update. So in summary, and lining up all of those features against the product themes we spoke about before. We've got a hugely innovative set of features to deliver over the next 1 to 6 months. A big focus on automations. So we believe this single enhancement really does set us out as the market leader and offers such a huge amount of value, probably the most value of all of the enhancements on here. And then on top of this list, we'll also be delivering performance improvements throughout the year and shipping improvements from ideas raised through our ideas portal. So a big thank you for everyone who's joined us on the call today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to giving people a further update in circa 6 months' time at the next Executive Search Summit. I think this is probably the way that we'll continue this. We'll provide an update, a roadmap update, roughly every 6 months or so. I think that's about the right cadence to use. Thank you very much. Should we get any questions?
I have a few questions here. The ceiling can't hold us. I know, Jano. I have to prepare the song out here. We're having a good time with all of our customers. Exciting times. Return to the Mac. You know what it is. Had to prepare it. So yeah, there are a few questions on this side, J-Hop. So some questions around the assignment dashboard. You mentioned widgets changing. Can you speak a bit more about that?
Sure. I'll jump back to my slide. Oh, speed round. Yeah, the feedback we have concerns the assignment open for widget, which gives you a count for hours and then days as to how long the assignment record has been open for, and it has huge value up to the point the assignment is completed, but the counter doesn't stop from there. So the feedback is we need to incorporate some other data points here and stop it. Probably link this back to the end milestone completed date, I think. So we have a locked period of how long this assignment was open for. So it's absolutely fantastic while the assignment is running, but afterwards it can raise a few eyebrows when you open a record up if you see a big number in there, because it doesn't really reflect how long it was open for. So we'll be making that change. Understood.
A couple of questions around what is grid count? Can you share some detail there?
I'm sorry if that wasn't clear on the call. Maybe that explains the number of people we had that voted. Not sure. It's if you open any grid in Invenias, any grid, and when I mean grid, I mean your global people grid. It could be the candidate list within an assignment, the milestones grid. On the bottom right, it displays a count of records. So if you have 10,000 records in your database, it will display 10,000 underneath. So my question before on the performance is, that link to performance is kind of, how often does it matter that you know exactly how many records are in that tab all the time? And that's why we asked the question before, because if you've got 10,000 records and then you've got 6,000, I'm not sure exactly how much value you really have, if that drives decision making, if it drives any next steps, or it's just a number. It's just a big number. It's more than I can see on a single page.
Absolutely.
And if you relate it back, say, to Google, if I searched for product manager England, I might get 5 million records, but I don't really care if there are 5,000,001 or 6 million. I know that I've got a really big number. So in this case, not seeing that final number links right back to that performance improvement. Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. A question around quick merge. Is it available today?
You can use it if you log into our Essentials web application. So this is in our web application. We were able to push this out really quickly into our web application. I don't currently have plans to merge this across into our desktop app. There is a merge there already that we have that supports merging 2 records at a time. whereas this gives you the ability to merge 6 together. But we felt that we could offer more value to users by developing other desktop features rather than rebuilding the same feature in two places effectively. So in this case, it's likely to remain a web feature only, but we're always here to listen though.
Got it. There was a question about the legalities of capturing data like gender, for example. Can you share some detail as to some self-identification things that we're planning for?
That's partly why we are looking to tie the capture of DE&I information as part of a data privacy consent request, because it could absolutely be regarded in some locales as being sensitive personal information. So if a person self-classifies, we would tie that, if you wish, into a data privacy consent request. So as they provide their consent, they can also update the value on the gender field or any other fields. It is an optional feature now. It's possible for users. I know there are some firms that don't want to capture this data, and that's okay. So you can switch the field off completely, in which case you wouldn't see it when I said we'd add it to all these various places. You obviously wouldn't see it if the field was switched off. Users wouldn't be allowed to capture the gender information.
Got it. So, and continuing on with the lightning round, hope you don't mind. The spell checker. So there's a question here. Will Invenias be able to recognize people or words even though they're misspelled? So can you provide some clarity on the spell checker updates?
Sure. For those who aren't aware, we do have a spell checker feature in Invenias. You can switch it on, and when it's on, you can have it as with an automatic or an on-demand setting, so that when you are editing, if it's set as on demand, you'll see a button in the toolbar in Records. So as you're adding content or as you're populating actions, that's another recent improvement we made. You can click a button to have a spell checker that pops up that will scan everything, all of the content, and provide suggestions that you can choose to accept or ignore. So the spell checker that we have doesn't currently allow users to add new words into the dictionary that we keep. So that's where that particular suggestion kind of came from.
Understood.
That
Yeah. So and then there were a couple of questions around reports. When we look at the vision of the product in general, J-Hop, what can you share with us there?
From a reporting perspective, we're going to continue with a desktop app that's got, and also our web application that has a reporting engine that's driven by DevExpress, who are a kind of a leading component provider. I know that there are some integration partners that we're talking to who are potentially looking at providing alternative reporting options as well in the future. So that there may be some more options available. They're early to set expectations. They're more kind of early, high-level discovery, and we may need to make some changes to support those use cases by being able to provide tools for users to get a lot of data out of Invenias somewhere else that we would only do and permit once we'd fully vetted them to understand the security that they would put in place on that data. But kind of short to medium term, we're focusing on adding value through integrations primarily. So rather than big new feature sets for reporting.
Excellent. And yes, I see that there are a few other questions, and we're at time. So I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for making the time out. We'll get back to these questions. Your account manager will be in touch. Sarah, these open questions, they come to us in the form of a report for us to be able to address them, yes?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, perfect. So we'll be sure to do that within the next 24 hours. And again, want to say thank you so much, everyone. We're excited to what the future has ahead, and we thank you for trusting us with the technology that helps power your business and your executive search efforts. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.